we worked together in numerous sort of, not so much in a personal as a professional capacity. We were army commanders together, and then of course, when I was at Northern Command, he went on to become the vice chief of the army staff. So I always found him, very warm, generous, and very, very correct in his approach. He was one person who was, highly, highly determined. In some ways, also controversial because he was a person who didn't mince his words, and there were many people who sort of, didn't like what he said and the manner in which he said it. But I think he had a huge, huge amount of, courage of conviction that what he needs to do and how he needs to do it, and if it's right for the organization, then it must be pursued in a very, very sort of determined manner. So I recall, for example, when we were planning the surgical strikes, I used to go to the army headquarters for briefings, to the chief. And as the vice chief, of course, he was always present there. And we used to discuss our plans, and he used to come out with a lot of good advice. He himself, as a Major General, had actually served in that area. He was at Baramulla as a GOC, so he knew the area very well. He knew the line of control very well. So he, gave some very, very good suggestions on how we need to do, and that sort of helped us, refine our plans. After I had retired, I was tasked to undertake a study for the restructuring in the army. And that's the time when General Rawat had been appointed the Chief of Army Staff. And I had, some interactions with him. And what struck me was, his openness to new ideas, his openness and, desire to bring in change and reform in the Indian Army at that stage. He achieved sort of what every army officer can aspire to be. I mean, he became the Chief of the Army Staff, and then he was appointed as the first CDS in India. Right. And I think it is in his role as CDS that I think people should remember, and in which he sort of really, really excelled. So firstly, as a newly appointed CDS, his own office of the CDS, then there was a new department created called the Department of Military Affairs, which took on a number of duties which were earlier carried out by the Ministry of Defense. Right. So he had to actually, put policies, put processes in place to get these departments up and running. And side by side along with this, he also had to carry out, structural reforms within the military. So when you look back at his tenure, which is less than 2 years, the pace at which he went about his work was, to me, highly, highly impressive. I think the manner in which he did his work and the speed at which he brought it in, he's really left very big shoes to fill there.